Wait, there we go.
後ろ回って右に飛ぶなす。正面。先生にどうぞお願いします。
どうぞお願いします。
先生にこんばんは、先生。
What kind of dog was it that you were trying to rescue?
Shiba Inu.
A Shiba Inu. Wait a minute, buddy. You had a Shiba Inu for a long time.
Dogecoin.
I know.
Yeah, that was the other color scheme.
If you get it, then but you gotta rescue it at the right time, so you get the good price, and then they're or something. I don't know. All right.
Well, I went to see him 2 weeks before the seminar, but I was like, I don't want to take you home now because I'm going to leave in 2 weeks. But then I come out after the seminar, he's gone.
Oh. See, you gotta put it in deposit on the bad boy. All right, look at that. Say yes. Because once you get one, then you have to get another, you have to get another. Maybe you can get a
Yeah, they come in
fraction
4
sheet.
colors.
Gotta collect them
One
all.
each.
Yeah. You can get a fractional sheet. But I'm saying no. Oh gosh. Oh. Well, I figure we don't have to really train quite as hard as we normally would because the pending civil war is not gonna happen,
Huh?
Well, around the way up to the election, there was the whole like civil war, civil war, civil war, civil war, civil war, and now that the guy who won is there's not so much talk about that anymore for some reason. Hang on. I was like, got kind of quiet on this front.
It's
So
still
we
coming.
We don't have to train as hard. Oh no.
Because the camps are
Oh,
coming.
if they can hold up. If they can hold up for a couple more years, they won't be draft stage. I don't think. It's like 18 to 26, right? Normal.
As no one's gonna join the actual military. Take the other way. Oh, but by the way, Yudansha, I talked to Jeremy Booth, Big Jeremy.
Oh yeah.
And High C is in the Army.
Good Lord Almighty. God help us all.
He's literally in boot camp as we speak.
Oh boy.
I'm taking around.
Oh man, I pity his boot sergeant.
I mean, they have a way of managing folk like that. Apparently, he's doing really well.
I've seen stripes. I know how it
Take
works.
across. Boom, check boom.
Yeah,
I
mean, in some cases, that's what it takes for all those folks. Some other person, not, a parent, to have ultimate authority and tell them what to do all the time, and that sometimes will work. So I hope he's one of those.
Absolutely. Hands on your hips, take it around. Yeah,
Big enough.
I mean, yeah. He is big enough. He was there's a student that we had a while back. There's Jeremy and his son Clay. And Jeremy was probably like 6'1", 6'2", and lifted weights. But Clay, his son, who at the time was like 16, take the other way.
Yeah.
Was like 6'3" or 6'4", and energetic. So
yeah. The last dojo picture that I have of Clay getting promoted, he's looking off to the side, holding his certificate above his head, just kind of like, the boy could not focus for more than 30 seconds at a time.
Yeah, he was but was what it was. But anyway, so yeah,
when he focused,
I guess
decent.
Yeah, I mean, he did it in there. I mean, he was on the path, but anyway, I guess he's gonna. I guess he's gonna do Army National Guard switch, and
then
he's gonna come back.
So he can oppress the citizenry.
That's right. or stack sandbags, one of the two. But then he's gonna go down to College Station and go to
Oh.
school. So
So he's gonna be ROTC or whatever?
maybe switch. So he
Right? Oh, no,
Yeah.
National Guard.
yeah, National Guard. So anywho, I was like, oh, okay, well, too bad Sheila wasn't there.
Yeah,
But
well, her kid's still there.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he stuck around or what.
I mean, he still shows up to camps and stuff.
Yeah, okay, well maybe he's down there.
Thinking he's all that,
All right.
as usual.
Breathe in, breathe out. Now, if there's one kid that shouldn't be counting an attitude, that would be him.
Yeah. Well,
Big deep breath, let it stretch. Yeah. Anyway, but that was the news from Lake Wobegon that I got this week.
is his back still messed up, Jeremy's?
Yeah, he didn't mention it.
That's
They
ultimately
moved.
what he said was keeping him out of karate, right? His back was all screwed up.
Yeah, and then he was all swept up in work. He switched jobs and
Oh yeah.
he went off into the security world, cybersecurity. And I think he's doing well. I mean, from what I understand, he is. But he kind of like decided to redouble his efforts or something.
Yeah.
And then they moved, I think they moved back to Arkansas or Texarkana at least.
Oh yeah.
Come up, take it out. And I think he lives out in the woods with a shotgun and an internet connection.
Not surprising in the least.
No.
Exactly how I would have envisioned him if I had just met him on the street the first day. Would have been either Arkansas or West Virginia.
Yeah.
Didn't he come from West Virginia? Wasn't that where he grew up?
No, it's Texarkana. So
Oh, okay.
the Texas side of Texarkana, I think.
Three states in one. The ultimate corner case.
Yeah. The worst of all, the best of none.
Yeah. Hey, Adam, what is it you do for a living? Are you a software engineer?
Software engineering.
What was that?
Software engineering. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Working developer. All right. You got your Cheryl? Really, right left? Okay. Does it matter? I don't know. What software do you engineer?
Healthcare software.
Healthcare. Well, thank you for your service.
You ever used my charts, the same company, but on the clinical side?
Okay.
Ah, nice. I'm hoping to get into a medical software company myself. The company that does fraud and abuse detection for Medicare and Medicaid services.
I was waiting, there was a little bit of a pause in there. It was like the company that is into healthcare and fraud. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know you can specialize.
No, they don't like committing it. They want to stop it.
Presence out. Ah, okay, all right. Well, I think you can feel better about doing that direction.
Yeah. But they also don't seem to, they're a really small company and they don't seem to have their act together when it comes to the hiring process.
And that.
And there's another company that I've been going through the process and they, I don't really want to work for them so much because they work in the financial sector But they're like hot to trot and, moving me through the process like nobody's business.
Okay,
So
right up. Yeah.
I hope that this other company will get company one will get their ducks in a row and get me in through the interview process at least.
Is it a principal job or is it?
Kind of, sort of. Not right now, but my old boss used to work there. That's the company
Oh,
he
that's
came
the one you're talking about. Yeah.
And so it's not right now, but he's thinking that a couple of the VPs are fixing to retire. And
He lives.
There will potentially be opportunities for principalhood in short order, or even, VP or management level stuff if I get in now. I mean, I'm basically looking for my last company.
I've been looking at that for years, but every time I turn around, I still have to feed myself, feed the
Right,
family and whatnot.
right.
Take it out, roll your ankles.
But that's one of those things about a small company with a niche market like they have. It's kind of like, unless, the CEO is really bad at what she does, and they've been around already for like 12 years and profitable and stuff, like they're a niche company that probably not going anywhere. So, seems like a job that I could do for the next 9.5 years or 9 years and be happy with it. So, I don't mind doing software development, but it is what it is.
Yeah. We
I
did,
mean, the other job, the other company is a senior software position because they just basically filled the principal position, but they wanted to interview me anyway. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. Good practice, I guess.
about a million years ago in Hawaii, I went on an interview with a company, and it was a software company, like fingers, and they did management software for self-storage places.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, okay, yeah, I guess, those kind of places do need, I just didn't think about it, right? So they said like, he said, yep, we're the only people that do it.
Yep.
And I'm like, it's here in Hawaii. He goes, yeah, because what the deal was, it was a customer support position. So they said like, oh, you'd have to work like overnight because we were 6 hours behind the world. He said, so got to eat. So I was like, yeah, you have to like come on at midnight or whatever. And I was like, but anyway, I was fascinated by the fact that this company, it was like him at that time. This is back, the late 90s or whatever. Was like him and like three or four other guys, and they basically did all the software for every self-storage place that used software at that time. I was like, oh,
Nice.
pretty good. So that's a niche right there. All right. Tie that belt. No, see, Adam, you should have waited half a second. You could have just tied it and been cool. Life is in the timing.
So, I mean, the thing about it is, at the end of the day, both of the companies that I'm interviewing with are, essentially community focused and, more or less for the public good kind of thing. And that's what I want. Like the one in fintech is basically involved in trying to keep money in the community, and they don't work with banks. They work with like credit unions and, local financial places and all that jazz. So, whatever. I don't know. I just need a job because I got to pay for stupid trees that are sick.
Yes. Stupid trees. and they're sucking up all the carbon dioxide, not leaving any for us.
Exactly.
All right, Yudansha, you want to lead us through some black belt basics?
Sure.
Take your mind off the trees. You can no longer speak for the trees.
That's right. All right. 2 punches, Chudanski, 3/4 punches, Ki 5 and 10 on 5 and 10. We'll do 3 punches. Come on.
Hey.
Hits. Knee. So. Hit. Go. Hey.
Yeah.
6. Hats. 2. 2. Hey.
Yeah.
We're gonna do 10 or 20.
20.
All right, 20 it is. My hits. Hey. So. Kick. Go. Hey.
Yeah.
6. Hats. Kick. 2. Hey. Get on. Okay. Back of the knuckle. Come on. Hits. Knee. So. Shake. Go. Hey. Hook. 6. Hats. 2. 2. Hey. Hits. Knee. So. Shake. Go. Hey. Hook. 6. Hats. 2. 2. Hey.
I would do that on all those on 5 and 10. We have to do 3.
We can.
I'm just kidding. What they do, again, not a correction, just a suggestion. I remember both of those hands are operating at the same speed, right? So, for me, it's kind of there, and then that's where I get my little snap when I come down. So but in order for me to affect that, and this is for me to affect that snap, I really got to make sure that that guy's coming up to do his business, because that tightens everything up and aligns my chakras and allows my chi to flow and get that one knuckle where it needs to be.
Nice and safe.
It's you're soft, you're loose, you're hard. Soft, you're loose, you're hard. And that's what, because that circle is so small, it's kind of easy to drift off a little bit when you're doing it. Both hands need to be active.
Nice and safe.
Hey, all right, think about it.
Chudan, okay.
Hey.
45 block, man. Hits. Hit. So. Shake. Go. Hey. Hook. 6. Hats. Cute. 2. Hey. Hits. Knee. So. Shake. Go. Hey. Hook. 6. Hats. 2. 2. Hey. I've man. Hits. Knee. So. Hit. Go. Hey. Hook. 6. Hats. 2. 2. Hey. Hits. Knee. So. Shake. Go. Hey. Hook. 6. Hats. 2. 2. Hey. All right. Downward knuckle strike. Good I can. With the trap. 9. Hits. Knee. So. Kick. Go. Hurt. Six. Huts. Hit. Hit. Ace. Hit. Knee. Top. Hit. Go. Hey. Hurt. Six. Huts. Cute. Cute. Hey. Second verse, but in a slightly higher key. Middle, knuckle strike, sideways, or lateral. Use the more official term. My hits. Knee. So. Take. Go. Hey. Hurt. Six. Hats. Cute. Two. Hey. Hits. Hey. Come. Take. Go. Hey. Hurt. Six. Hats. Cute. Two. Hey. Hey, were you guys doing the sideways one or the downward one?
I was in sideways.
Okay.
Same move. Okay, that's quite a different guy. One thing that I tend to do is I try and shift up like where it's at on my center line. Is like I'm catching him here, like parry, trap, boom. You know, like I'm coming in off the center line, and then sometimes I'm thinking about like parry, so it's all the way kind of at, and I'm grabbing him. So I'm kind of over here, bam. At some moment I'm thinking about being sort of here, like I'm catching, sort of doing a Pinon Sandan thing, and you know, kind of trip and then get it. So for me, it's a way to kind of see that visual thing of that's going on and thinking about where I am kinetically or ballistically relative to the bad guy. If I change a little straight knot, if I change a little straight knot. And now I get my hips involved and get the involved with my feet.
Hi, Sensei.
Hey,
I'm gonna go.
hey, you want to get to the other side?
All right, the Pinon Showdown.
I just went to. There I am. Okay.
Oh. Double down and kick. Hits. Hit. So. Hit. Go. Hey. Hurt. Six. Huts. Cute. Cute. Eight. Eight. Go. Six. Go. Hey. Hurt. Six. Huts. Cute. Cute. Hey.
Must be a new belt.
What?
Adam keeps having to tie his belt. It must be a new belt.
Yeah. Don't let it kill you. You can die from an untied belt, you know.
That's right. Number one cause of deaths of black belts, untied belt. Spontaneously untied belt.
Right.
How many pounds in spots?
Right. 45 block with the 45 shin kick. So Chuan Uke Shiotogeri at 45 degrees. How do you say that in Japanese? Man.
Whoa, different.
Hitch. Hey. So. Shake. Go. Hey. Hurt. Six. Hut. Cute. Two. Hey. Hitch. Hey. So. Shake. Go. Hey. Hurt. six, hutch, two, two, three. Nice. I block. Grab, pull down, kick under. All right. Hits. Hit. So. Tick. Go. Six. Hits. Two. Two. Three. Hits. Hit. So. Tick. Go. Hey. Hurt. Six. Hutch. Two. Two. Three. Nice. Alrighty. Somewhat similar, but lower. Trap. Grab. Kick under. Not sure if you want to do it here, here, or here. I think the official here, but I've taken to doing it here if it's a wrist grab. So
That's good. So that's an important thing is, especially like all basics. There's, like we were talking about the other week, those of us that came to class, that was like the official canon, and there's kind of the fu way of doing it, kind of thing. And so I think that black belt basics, especially amongst us black belt, those of us that keep them on, yeah, just because feeling that mechanics of they attack you incorrectly. So, if that is your go-to every time, you're gonna miss that hand. So, yeah, they grab me here instead of grab me here. You're doing that with intent, right? That's the number one rule of the dojo. So, yeah, I think that's a great idea of shifting that up and trying to figure out how it feels on your body.
Hey, Sensei. Tomorigato. My hits. Hey. So. Shake. Go. Hey. Hurt. Six. Hutch. Two. Two. Three. Hits. Eight. So. Shake. Go. Hey. Hurt. Six. Hutch. Two. Two. Three.
So because right there, I got kind of froggy, and I decided to do, the sort of Jodan like getting, which was, as I did it, I was like, that didn't feel right. It just does not feel right. So, but I put myself out there. Okay.
Right. Well, if you were doing a trap and pull and the pull didn't work and they're really tall, like say high C, you might have to do it. So
You grab, and yeah, they pull out of it, and so instead of them being right there, they're now over there. They slid out, you grabbed a hold of them, you got their arm kind of out here, and so maybe you gotta reach a little bit. Good thinking, Yudansha. All
right, Sensei. All right, number next. Parry. Front kick under. You could do either heavy hand, shuto. Yeah. Shuto. Or 3/4 shuto. Straight if you want to, mix it up with that, you can. That's not canon, but whatever. Heavy hand, so it's parry down or shuto parry, strike, and strike. My Getty though, that's the important thing. My hits. Hey. So. She. Go. Yeah. Hurt. 6. Hutch. 2. 2. These. Hits. Hey. So. She. Go. Yeah. Hurt. 6. Hats. 2. 2. 3. Nice.
And that would too, I tend to try and get both hands in action. So that way when, this hand is coming around here, instead of just coming here and hanging out, it's like it's intercepting or parrying or whatever, or grabbing even, and rolling that hand over and so I can pop it. Either way, but that way, going from side to side, this hand is not just traveling and deadheading it.
Hi, Sensei. And I was also gonna say, if you go with the sort of the parry and the lead hand philosophy, you want to make sure that it's not a push down. It's not a flat hand. It's a enveloping hand. It's a weight. So you basically put the weight of your arm on there using friction stop, right? Because you're really going to be changing body, right? So you basically want to slow that down, and ideally I want to grab it so that I can wrist out turn and follow through. So all that to say, if you're gonna do the heavy hand, make sure that it's a heavy hand, not a push down. It's not an active push. It's a stop and wait. That's it.
Yeah, and so if you do it on my favorite dummy, which is myself, and if it's the dead hand, which I think that's not a great name, because then it implies that this hand's not doing anything, right?
But I said
So,
lead hand.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting there.
Okay.
So, but a lead hand is not only doing something because it's actively like moving, but like if you, when you see people do it, they do this, and it's like they'll let it. That's what I mean by dead hand. Is they're kind of thinking about it like it's hitting and it's dropping, right? Like you're, and arguably that's doing something, but then that hand's not doing anything. So, but if you take your favorite dummy and you do this twice with your hand, you can, because there's all that weight and all that energy right there hitting that hand. Or if you're doing it here, you still got extra weight that's kind of, I think it kind of counterbalances a little bit. So when we're doing this, if we're thinking of it as the lead hand, not a dead hand.
Right.
Which is a clip that I'm gonna cut out, so that way we can post that and people think we're awesome. Lead hand, not dead hand. That hand is actually intently going somewhere, taking those your easy buttons and whatnot, and hitting something somewhere. So it's sort of like you're talking about, it's like once it's there, not only is it hit it and knock it sort of off the center line and out of the way, but then you have something to grab for. So you get a strike, you get a control, and you get a grab, all for one move. And what's the number one rule of the dojo?
Both hands be moving.
No.
Always strike with intent.
No.
Our blocks are deflective, not powerful.
No. Lazy karate, right? I'm getting 3 for 1 on that one. I'm getting 3 Ks for the price of 1 K.
Right.
I'm getting the crack the wrist, not the karate. It's either the karate, right? Or the other K, whatever. Now, all right, number 9.
All right, So same hand movements, whichever you're doing, but foot kick. Make sure that that kick comes across the center line and then comes back. If it doesn't cross the center line, it's not value. You've missed your target. And you're gonna pick something else. So it needs to come across your center line, not far. You don't need to come way out here, but it needs to cross that center line and hook back. And the hook is with power. So use those hips and that time then to pull that foot back. Come on. Hits. Hey. So. Shit. Go. Hey. Hurt. Hits. Hats. Kick. Kick. Hey. Hits. Hey. So. Shit. Go. Hey. Hurt. 6. Hats. Kick. Kick. Hey. Nice. All right. Up thrust, upward hands, 2 hands up. Not both hands up, 2 hands up.
You just don't care.
Right. And my Getty. Come on. It's Nate. So. Kick. Go. Hey. Hurt. 6. Hats. Kick. Kick. Hey. Hits. Hey. So. Kick. Go. Hey. Hurt. 6. Hats. Kick. Kick. Hey. Sweet. All right. Down block. Remember, this is like a table. It's not a push. It's a stop. The bolstered stop. And for those of us who went to camp, you know who you are. Feel free on that technique as you do the kick. Also throw in the optional nukite to add a
We got
little
clarification on that one this last weekend. This is on Go and Jew for Punchy Shucks.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Okay. That's new. All right. So for those of us who went to
clarification.
For those of us who went to camp and then went to a new camp, do that nukite on 5 and 10. Go and you.
It's just in.
Right.
All right. See, people talk about traditional martial arts as being like static and dead. And like, wait, we're constantly changing. We're constantly flowing.
Am I? Pitch. Me. So. Kick. Go. Hey. Hurt. 6. Hats. Kick. Kick. Hey. Hits. Hey. So. Kick. Go. Hey. Hurt. 6.
Is there a reasoning behind that, or is it just people were falling down and trying to do it every time?
I don't know, maybe
Sounds
it's like
about,
the triple punch I'm going to.
sounds about right. Oh, okay. Well, I guess we should go like. Or. Kind of like we were talking about with the Hamahida, right? Same thing, you each need something. On 5 and 10. There.
Right. Yeah, I mean, ideally it's a block, right? So, it's a little different than starting with a strike, but one of the things that I think is interesting that's kind of come about from my Hakutsuru training and stuff has been there's a lot of talk about moving the chi around. So every kata starts off with this,
Huh.
right? And the
These-
first three
what, Kempo?
the first three kata. And so what I tend to think of with these, both this and especially with this, is essentially pushing that energy down, right? So I'm not pushing that energy with my hands. The motion is starting, but it's essentially projecting that energy. So this isn't going to go up, and it's pushing my chi down, right, to give that added weight, right? And then on 5 and 10, when you do that, you've moved that energy to stop the foot, and you're letting it explode outward through both your toes and your fingers. So it adds a little bit of dynamic here. You're bringing that energy up to raise that arm up and get underneath, right? And following it with an explosion of energy out through the foot. So just kind of an esoteric way to think about things, might add some interesting dimensions to what you're doing with the standard techniques. And so we always, Eiderhanchi always opens the Hakutsuru with the black belt basics, usually, but done in the context of moving that chi and centering the tanden and moving the body accordingly. So it's been an interesting addition to add on top of the standard black belt basics, knowing full well that we would do those basics with change body to begin with, which we don't in regular practice.
For reasons. Yeah. Okay, that's kind of a cool.
Yeah.
Tai Chi. See?
And it adds a little bit to the lead. It adds a little bit to the lead hand thing too, right?
Yeah.
Anytime you're doing lead hand, even with this, it's just you're soft until you're not, and it's that I'm winding up the energy. I'm directing the energy, and my wrists, the snap that we always talk about is, swinging that energy in the direction we want it to go, and that's what gives it the additional power. So again, it's not muscle power, it's physics, it's reverberation, right? You stop something and that force gets reverberated and reflected back through, right? You can see that it's chi. So kind of interesting.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. That's really good. One of the things that I was gonna bring up on that, and then also now let's talk about it. Doing it this way is I tend to take it off my center line. So when I'm doing these guys, it's not staying on my center line, right? Because I come up, first off, I don't come out big, I come up, I do small dribble, right? But I kind of take it one way or the other, whichever way my palms are. If my palms are going this way, it kind of comes up and it goes that way. So it's off my center line just a little bit. My theory being, and then also on this one, same thing is, just like we're talking about with like Naihanchi or whatever, and baby attacks me and I come in, I don't want my opponent on my center line, I want to take him off my center line. So that region. So when I'm doing this, even though it's coming here in the kata, you know, and then whatever's next, is I'm coming off my center line, and you know, I'm gonna push somebody's head off, I'm gonna change body and kind of get them off my center line a little bit. So when I'm doing that, even that, when it kind of comes down to the table you're talking about, then
Right.
on my easy buttons, I'm kind of pushing off to the side just a little bit before I do my kick. On my kick. They're here, I'm getting their head off a little bit. And coming in, they resist, I'm going to the circle, taking them off a little bit. So that way, instead of getting the resistance this way, I'm moving their head around that way a little bit. And then doing my kick, but it's not like a big move. Either one of these in my head, or in practice, but in my head, I'm just thinking about, I'm kind of deflecting the weight that way and kicking. I'm deflecting the punch or the kick, whatever it is, up and off that way a little bit, and then kicking. So that way, I'm not coming one way or the other. Just, it's a subtle move like you're talking about, like, it's here, it's, you know. And I'm using that, whatever movement to base, get a hold of it and move. I'm using that base to get over it and move it just a little bit. So I over exaggerated this move so you can see it, but yeah, but that's a really good observation. I like that.
Nice and safe. Well, what do you got?
Especially in when you come to like a hot pocket tsuru or cranny type stuff, you know, a lot of times that isn't in the muscle, right? It's in the movement. It's either your body placement or in this case, chi or physics or whatever you want to call it.
Well, yeah, it's more using the elasticity as I see it thus far. It's more in using those techniques in whip-like formations as opposed to the standard, you know, karate, which is, you know, solid. Not that these aren't solid, you know, you come back here, that's, you know, that's still pretty solid, but the deal is my hand is not a fist. I'm not coming back and being the immovable object, right? It's coming because it's coming back using the physics of my body to whip that and strike with a harder surface. Same with these kinds of things or nukites, right? You know, the first time somebody tries to nukite and they don't get it quite right and they hit that breastbone and they don't have their fingers stacked, they're gonna have a bad time. Ask me how I know. And you know, and so it's that same thing. Nukites and stuff, it's like aiming for the right things and using the body mechanics to whip. And just like I view chi kind of just like with a whip, right? It cracks because it's moving air and you can feel air move. Well, that's what's happening here when I'm doing that or when I'm doing that. You know, it's
that goes back to what we were talking about on Monday. Those of us who weren't adopting a dog, about like, you know, doing nose strike and stuff like that. It's like it's like everything else in our system, specifically in our system, talking about, you know, like you know, where you're like you're trying to everyone talking about like, oh, you're punching through, you know, samurai armor and blah 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 blah. No, you're not. You know, you're hitting something solid, but it's hitting, you know, like we talked about, hitting like the coffee table, right? It's how you hit and where you hit, but mostly it's where you hit. So you know, the coffee table doesn't do any special, you know, I'm doing the ancient Okinawan fists, you know, to increase my, you know, whatever, blah 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 blah. The coffee table just hits you in the knee and you go, ah. Well, so you know, so like, yeah, doing one of those strikes, a crane strike or whatever, is largely dependent on what you're hitting, so you don't have to hit it so hard. I had a discussion with a highly ranked and highly qualified martial artist, and I said something about, he was talking something, it was a move from Kusanku, I think, or something, and he was saying like, you know, you gotta, if you bring your foot in an extra half inch, you get so much more power in your punch. And I kind of said like, you know, well, I mean, does that half inch matter? And he goes, well, why wouldn't you want to hit something as hard as you could? And I was like, all right, fair enough. But also in our system, it's where you're hitting. So, I mean, if it was something where my take was it kind of compromised our stance. It either made it too wide or something. And, but anyway, so like we were talking about, it's like, yeah, you know, hitting this, if you're straight on and you're hitting it, biomechanically, it doesn't work well with anybody's body type, right? But if you're off the center on it, you know, if you're kind of, you know, you can put your hip and your body weight and, you know, it's that width and whatever you're talking about. So, that was kind of a long way at the bar about saying like, it's like, that's, so what we talked about we talked about on Monday, and now we're seeing it. I was like, oh, okay, well, that was the conversation we had on Monday. And now here it is again. We did some more training and that's a reflection of it. You know, that whether or not we missed it or walked on it, it's what I've said many times about our system is it works well when it's sloppy. It works even better when it's more accurate, right? So, you know, like this works well, you know, like the whole crane thing works well when it's sloppy, but it'll probably work even better when you're a little tighter, you know, moving your chair around and getting your hips in there and whatnot. So, excellent observation.
And I just, you know, last thing I'll say about that is I still don't understand why this hand is coming up. I mean, I get it. People have explained it to me. I understand why. But to me, I would never, I can't envision myself ever doing that instead of this. Just to keep that hand from coming back at me. Like, I feel like I have so much less control with this backhand, and it's going to take so much more proper timing because for me, this feels awkward. I feel like I would have a much better grip, even if my, you know, they could pull it out that way, right? You know, doing this, and I get what this is, you know, it's either flattening out the elbow or jabbing into the armpit, whatever, you know, but this, I don't know that I will ever come to grips with doing it this way and why this is beneficial over this way, especially since this comes from one of our kata or more of our kata. We do it several times, you know, so
Anybody happen to speak to that this weekend, Adam, or last weekend? Weekend before last?
No.
Last week. Well, what the hell good? Anyway, yeah, I mean, that's one of the things, you know, we mentioned it before, that's why I kind of think about, it's like, well, no one has given me a, this is what you're doing. And Adam, if you've got another explanation of it, that's fine. But for me, I'm just thinking like someone's either punching or maybe doing a high kick and you're, you know, body changing up and kind of intercepting either one of those. And so that's why I'm saying you're moving it out of the way a little bit. You're just moving it out of the way. You're not, but I absolutely understand that is, you know, okay, but why don't you, grab it. Grab it and strike it.
But that's what this is doing. It's moving it up out of like this. Like I could even understand this, right? Like I'm gonna try and catch that, you know, stop that punch in my hand, and this is what's doing the lifting. Like both hands lifting. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way that I'm wired, but it's an observation that is not going to change.
And it's something that may have changed from like, you know, being like, you know, this is sort of a catch it, you know, like, whoa, they're punching, like you're kind of intercepting or parrying it, and that's going to be a shot under the arm or whatever, and then a kick, and then it went from there to there, just, you know, for basic sake.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's fair. I don't know.
But I mean, I have long ago in my heart got myself in a place where when I look at the basics, both Yudansha and Mudansha, sometimes they're not technical, sometimes they're just there for a reason. Yeah. Like, there for a workout or there for something kind of cool or whatever, but you know. Yeah, no one. So the next time you're in a black belt class with somebody with a red and white belt or above, We need to take them off to the side and just ask, what do you think is going on there? Because there might be something subtle that we're missing. And that just everyone just presumes that everyone's getting. I don't know.
Nice and safe. Nice
I
and
have my
safe.
thoughts. All right. What's number next?
Down block, shoot on block, and kick under the. So we are. This is the last of the official ones. My hits. Hey. So. See. Go. Ease. Hit. Hits. Hits. Kick. Two. Hits. Hey. So. See. Go. Hit. 6. Hits. Kick. 2. And that is, as they say, that. Unless you want to do the extended ones. With the
I don't
green
know.
belt.
Let's get about a half hour-ish. That's good. Yes, today. Go to your individual wells, and we will and drink heat of the fluids that you have,
Hi, Sensei.
whatever they may be. But anyway, good on you. Good on you. All right. What I was thinking tonight was maybe we could take one of our content and give it the old low, medium, high treatment. Do it kind of Tai Chi speed, do it kind of medium speed, and do it kind of fast, and see where we end up. Yeah. So FYI, Adam. So Monday night, those of us who came, we did some bag work, and we're trying to work out some stuff so we can get some bag drill going on. I'll probably put that video up so you can kind of see what we did. Come back to me. Come back to me. Where am I at?
You're there, you're just blurry.
There it is. I know. It's so weird that maybe it doesn't like black. My camera is racist. Anyway, so we did some bag work. So a couple drills to kind of think about that. So that's something that we can kind of incorporate what's going on. By the way, Adam, pick a kata, any kata. Not real high. Any kata. Call it out.
Oh, you meant for me, you meant for me. Naihanchi
Yeah.
Nidan.
Naihanchi Nidan. All right, Naihanchi Nidan. So we'll do it slow, we'll do it medium, and we'll do it fast, hard, however that works out. But first we'll do it slow. Actually, first we'll do it normal speed. Say again?
Like Tai Chi slow?
Yeah. Well, first we'll do it
Okay.
just like regular, and
Okay.
then we'll do it Tai Chi speed, and then we'll do it because what I want to do is on some of these sticking in is like really. I was thinking about today about trying to deconstruct the Hanchi Shodan, so you're not doing it in a line, you're doing it forward. And maybe we'll mess with that
Right.
later. But just right now, I was just thinking like, 'cause we're here and we're haven't done that in a while, so Hanchi Nidan, regular speed, Tai Chi speed, and then fast. But we'll figure it out. But we'll do it regular speed, so that way I can remember how to do it. All right, there we go. Yotsuke, eh? Tata 19. Okay. That's right. Okay. Okay. Alrighty. So now we'll do a Tai Chi speed. One of the things that I recommend doing Tai Chi, because the slowness messes you up, is you really focus on, you know, what the step's gonna be, what you're stepping, how you're stepping, where your weight is, you know, where your hips go, where you're looking, how that affects your body mass, moving, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Hi, Sensei.
Alright. Just kidding. Got the Naihanchi Nidan Tai Chi style. I Okay. Nice. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Uh-oh. He's doing Tai Chi speed.
Okay. There were several times I seg faulted doing it that slow and it didn't feel right, but it was right. So, anyway.
Yeah, and so that's the, you know, that's where I'm going with this, and that's why I want to explore is that whole like, man, it just doesn't feel right. Because, you know, it's as my old sparring partner, Dan and Santo used to say, you know, if you can't do it slow, you can't do it fast. I would say if you don't understand it slow, you don't understand it fast. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely like, you know, that whole, but you know, like for me, I notice, and usually after about the first couple moves, for me, it's like how much I kind of depend on velocity to like move this as opposed to moving it. And it says, coming in and letting that weight move as opposed to stepping. And let my weight go there. And we were like, you kind of, you're not really moving this way yet. Here you're just kind of, your weight is really still sort of here before you do that. So trying to do that slow, and then you gotta be really mindful of your stance, and because you come up into a really strong stance when you're here, yeah. So like I was noticing that I'm like you're really like, woo. Is that because you're trying to make it more Tai Chi, or you're just that's helping your balance, or
More Tai Chi, and also all these steps are sweeps. So
right? So that brings up an important point, or an important discussion point. Saying all those steps are sweeps, then you have to make them a sweep, right? So you gotta go in here and there it is. Whereas I think these steps are like a jam, or a leg lock or whatever. So that's what I think of them as. Whether they are or whether they're not doing it, that's where I put it. So in order to make it Tai Chi for you, they're gonna make it a sweep. So you gotta get that leg out farther. So that's gonna make you have to adjust your time and all your things. Whereas I don't know what you're thinking, Yudansha, but I mean, so therefore my body weight and everything stays in here. So even though I'm moving slower, I don't have to adjust it as much. Not that I'm saying that it's not a sweep or it's a bad thing. For the Tai Chi speed, that's a much better sort of drill for recovering, keeping that stance, keeping everything up, and that. So even if it is not in your head, whatever ninja you're fighting, or whoever's doing it, instead of keeping it in, is like that makes it harder, which gives it a much more of a workout. So I was watching that and I was like, is he making? And I was like, is he making it a sweep, or is he like really like I'm stepping over the dead bodies of the dead, or what's going on? I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can really see your upper body really kind of fighting a little more to stay upright, because you're kind of counterbalancing that weight.
So when I was in Kobayashi, we all the Naihanchi were like you were talking about stops. So if you're gonna cross over, it was a stop. It was a high step stop, and then it was Namigashi, right? So this kind of number. So you bring it up here and step down. So they're almost stomps. So it wasn't sweeps per se. It was, boom, right? And then you stomp, and then here. So it's kind of a combination of, lifting the foot to get it out of the way, and then a shin kick or a kick to the instep maybe, or stomping on their foot. At least that's the way it was always told to me. So here, doing the small steps was not something I was used to. I had to relearn that when I came to Kendrick.
Well,
hold on, Silken's video. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, well, for me, according to the Canadian director, Naihanchi is, for me, has come up to like I always do high stepping, for instance. Because I'm stepping over the bodies of the dead or whatever, but also because whether or not I'm going to sweep, whether or not I'm going to check, whether or not whatever, that doesn't achieve that, right? So, and for me, that stuff doesn't achieve it either. So it's it's a high step because that gives me more options. In the role play that's going on is if I do this, they kick, I'm blocking you. they kick, I'm sweeping it. They kick or step, I'm checking it. It doesn't, I still gotta do that move, you know? And so, if they're coming in and, you know, I check them and I move that foot down, well, then if I'm gonna take this foot out and do anything else after that, I gotta get it out of the way. So instead of doing a small move, because their feet or leg might be in there, then I do another big move, so that way I get my feet out of the way. That's just my thought process. What the actual application, so that dovetails with what I was talking about doing sort of the deconstructed, Naihanchi was, you know, I was looking on Shodan, so, you know, it's here. And so I was thinking like, instead of doing that to the side, I'm doing it more or less to the front. So the villain ruffian is coming in, you're kind of blocking, maybe moving their head. And then, you know, whether their head is down here, so it's a knee, your head's down here, it's a kick, your head's down here, it's a jam, which is what I kind of did, was like, it's, you know, you hear, they blocked, you know, they punched, they've done whatever, you've blocked. I'm kind of omitting this part because you can do that as part of the thing, is they block and you're stopping them, right? Then you're coming in, maybe you'll knee him or whatever to back him up, or whatever's coming on, and then this guy is gonna be carrying your arm out of the way, doing whatever, and then boom, you're doing that strike, and you're twisting their head around and taking them down or whatever. So that way it's not doing the side, it's much more like you're in the front, it's trying to get up the center line. So we take it anyway, so, and it was gonna be a series of more or less just stop kicks, and then maybe a kick or a knee. That's something I was working on this afternoon, and I was thinking about doing it, but anyway, that was a long way around the barn saying like, okay, well, so watching you do that made a little more sense of why you were doing it. But if anyone were to give you any grief about that, you could just always say, well, I'm doing it so I have a bigger workout. Because when I was doing Tai Chi, one of the things that they were talking about was like, they would do a bigger move, and he was like, well, it's just more of a workout. So I was like, oh, okay. They're doing a big move, you know. It was like, you know, if you do it like this, it's a workout. If you do it like that and put a lot of bend in your knee, it's more of a workout in your leg. I was like, okay. So, all right.
The dumbest explanation I've heard for that has been because you're doing it on a boat and you're stepping over the seats, or you're on a pier and you're stepping in the gaps in the boards. So, you know.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's.
Were you gonna say something about Master Soken, Adam?
Oh, yeah. Adam, what were you saying?
Yeah, there's some recordings of certain kata that he did way back when everything was sepia instead of black and white. So this might be modified it for inner circle versus outer circle, but
Right.
he did it as a cross kind of between the way other styles do it now and the way we do it now. So he did some of the Shodan, so it's low stepping here, but then this is much bigger, goes out, palm flat, palm straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah.
That's where
It was
halfway between.
Yeah. So some of that stuff, I mean, there was, and I wasn't at the meeting. I don't know. I wasn't there. But there's some of the ancient scrolls that I've seen over the years. One of the things that some people pointed out was a couple of those. Like one, it was film at a time when, you know, they didn't really like to film stuff, or, you know, still kind of secretish or whatever, especially in our lineage. Two, that's, you know, after he had come back from being gone, and he was kind of not ingratiating himself, but integrating with some of the other masters that have been around, there's the war period and whatnot. And, you know, they did their stuff a certain way, and Matsumura Sato did their stuff their way. And so, yeah, maybe it was like something kind of coming a little more in line. The other one, and then one that I tend to lean more towards, because I've seen it in a couple of places where they said like a lot of the GIs that train with Master Soken in the 70s and 80s, especially, but like in the 70s, and when he was like, you know, 75, 80 years old or whatever. So he didn't he did not, well, we don't kick high, he kicked even not as high as we kick, really. But he was, this tall, right? So some of that stuff that he moved was like, he didn't move that much, so for the camera, he over exaggerated a little on some stuff. But since he was a little guy, he didn't really move that much because he really couldn't like lift his leg that high. He was freaking old at that point. So, which kind of dovetails with what we are seeing with our more recent lineage. When you watch Hanshi back in the 80s and 90s, he was kicking and doing whatever, and then in the 2000s and whatever, he was kind of doing that number. And so it went from being knee high to ankle high, still more effective, still hurt, but just he didn't kick as high. So, and there's argument to be saying like, well, that's the way it's really supposed to be. And now that he's of that age, that's the way he's kicking. But anyway, but from the application for Naihanchi, it's, for me, I'm kind of agnostic. I don't care, whatever that's doing, that could be a placeholder for a lot of different things.
Right.
So whatever. So, but just when but we probably didn't notice it when we were doing it regular speed, because you're doing you're probably like foot sweep. I'd still, when we do Nahant or Seisan now, I do that foot sweep thing, right? Oh, since they got us on, and I really do it now. And I do it so much that if I try and not do it, it screws me up. But I like it, because it comes in with whatever we're talking about. So, but if you do it really fast, no one really notices it. I usually overemphasize it so someone sees it. It's like, and it's what am I doing? Am I doing a check? Am I doing some sort of kick that they didn't see before I is it a stomp? Is it well, it can be a couple different things, but as a placeholder, it's there. One version I kick straight, and then some more often than not, I turn it into like a stop skill. And now I do not just think about it. All right, so now we did it. Fast time. All right, we got a time because it's fast. So now you do it fast and hard.
Hi, Sensei.
Because that ninja deserves no mercy. Just kidding.
Hey.
Now, Naihanchi Nidan.
Hey.
Animal style. Okay. Naihanchi. Yeah. Just kidding. Man, that changes the whole energy, doesn't it?
Hey.
See, and that I get much more than thinking about my dropping that weight and sinking and snapping stuff in. And I'm also thinking about really like popping more and stomping more when I do these. So I go fast. That's just me. All right. Well, I meant to do that a couple, 3 times, but it's time. So
We did do it a couple or 3 times.
say again?
So we did do it a couple or 3 times.
I meant like each iteration, but but I like your thinking. Yeah, so but I think it's super important to adjust up the speed and think about it, adjust up, the space that you're doing it in. Like I got this much space to do it. So here, I don't have to, I can't really go anywhere. Remember we did it for a while at the during pandemic, and we were doing like basics in the corner. Like everything in the corner, so that was something different. Anyway, there's something different. And
Yeah.
to
Don't ask me to get a phone booth though for training because they're hard to find.
Amazon phone booth. Okay, yeah, that was, there's still, they still have them floating around here, and I think there's even still phones in them. If there's not, maybe I should take the drill and like, pull the phone out. Here's my dojo. Anyway, alright. Alright, so, nice little class, got some more. Yeah, I was gonna try to come up with some technique kicking drills, but I know your dancing partner in there doesn't really stand up too well to like doing punches and stuff, right? Yeah.
He
Gotta
does if I
hold-
barely touch him.
Say again?
He does if I barely touch him.
Oh, well, hey, well, that kind of defeats the purpose of. Fall down. Actually, Yudansha did that Monday, you know, when we were in class, he busted out a fireball or whatever, and that sucker fell right over. Yeah, so I was impressed.
What do you think?
Well, one of the things we were doing though, especially for Yudansha's one is, because his is also not particularly stable, is making sure we're doing a lot of stuff where we're keeping contact with it. So, and you come in and hit it, and it's like one hand's up. And using one to grab. And that way, something's hanging on to it, like it would be if someone's engaging and you're just grabbing them, so now you have the range. And then you can do whatever you're doing and then get out, and then let them fall, so. That way, A, both hands are being active, B, you're maintaining contact with your ninja. And whatever going on, so anyway, I was gonna try and come up with some drills and stuff for that, so that way we can hit some stuff. Anyway, all right, Yudansha, no question, comment, or concerns, take hold.
気をつけ。後ろも割って右ギトーベを直す。はい。正面。先生に礼。どうもありがとうございました、先生。
どうもありがとうございました。
先生に礼。さよなら、先生。先輩礼。どうもありがとうございました。
はい、先輩。え
はい。
どうもありがとう。
どうも、どうも。
We did it. Some of us do it in 4K.
We made it through another class. Oh my.
We didn't lose anybody this time.
That's right.
This time.